Hey, it's Todd Duncan. Welcome to our strategy session. I had a vision for this session and I decided to come to the top of my backyard and have my video guys set up the camera and talk about what vision is as it relates to the view that you have of your life. So there's four things I want to talk about specifically in the next 10 minutes or so that kind of go into this comprehensive question of what is your view on life? What is your view on business? And when you think about view, everybody needs to understand that we're at a point where we are, and there is a point that we want to go to. I mean, that's called life, right? And so the question is, what does that and how does that look to you? And that's view. So when I think about view, I think about four things that are specific to the word, and I think about those four things as they apply to my life and they apply to your life. And as I look at my view of life and I look at my view of business, when I come, to this spot and I just look and kind of just get into the headset of where do I want to go, it always comes down to that V, which is vision. And what is the vision that you have for your life? I mean, really sitting down and having a very honest and authentic and transparent conversation with your own soul about where you're at. Many of you know that I have a group called Elite. They are 25 of the best performing loan officers in America. I get the awesome privilege of being able to coach these guys and gals. And one of the things that we talk about often is our Life Mastery Top 20. And I have to tell you that you would think that as you succeed by so many of the world's definitions of success, you've got a place in your community, you've got money in the bank, you've got a roof over your head, you got food on the table, you've got cars to take you from point A to point B. You'd start to think that life, is fairly consistent with regard to how it works. And yet in this Life Mastery Top 20, you'd be surprised how many people in certain areas of their life on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being best, are giving themselves a 1 or a 2 or a 3. And it just begs the question of what is your view in that area? Where do you really see that area of your life getting to and going to? And with 5 being great, how long are you prepared to operate at a 2 or a 1 or a 3? It doesn't really matter, but anything less than 5 is an area of your life that can still be tweaked and still be improved, right? So a constant assessment of vision and where are you and where do you want to go, and to really get to a point where you kind of open up the floodgates and kind of look at the opportunity that life presents you, that the world presents you, that the economic universe presents you, and start to think about answering the question, how large are your dreams and how big are your aspirations and how much of your potential are you actually reaching? And so I do this exercise often, and it was so amazing just to be sitting with my guys and saying, where can we create the power of a view, the view of your life? And so I want you to, wherever you are and whatever you have as a place that you can have some quiet time and think as you navigate the year that you're in and as you navigate the balance of your life, to really think through what is your vision of that area. And then once you have that vision figured out, you can really use the I in view. And all I know about success beyond all the ways to be successful is that it requires an absolute intensity. There has to be this real focus that comes alongside of what you decide you want to do and decide where you want to go and really what you're doing to get there. And when I look at people that maybe have big dreams but don't seem to be achieving them, when I look at people that have had goals and aspirations but still aren't where they'd like to be, I can tell you there is one element missing, and that element is intensity. And when I look at the success equation, it requires an intensification of effort on the areas of life that matter most, the fewest areas of life that matter most. And so, when you think about intensifying, when you think about stepping up your focus, when you think about really getting to a point where you put some boundaries and guardrails on all the things that tend to interrupt you and get you to a point where you really are single-minded, you are embracing the idea that we teach, which is one thing thinking, and you're really taking a look at how do I get rid of the noise, and how do I narrow kind of this pathway that I'm on so that I can have less diversion of time and energy and even money to that point going in directions that don't ultimately get me to where I want to be. The other thing I want to say about intensifying is I have a fairly firm rule, even in my own life, that I apply all the time. And that rule is everything can change in 90 days or less. And any area of your life that you are not happy with, any part of your business that isn't working like you'd want it to work, and anything that doesn't kind of come up to measuring with, what you'd like to have happen, I have to tell you that 90 days of insane, courageous focus can change the trajectory of your course of action in your business and life. And so when you have a vision and you lack intensity, the vision will never come true. If you have intensity but no vision, the intensity doesn't give you ROI. So when you have a vision and you back it with intensity, then you get that magic alchemy that starts to move you forward. And what ends up happening is you change your perspective on the view. And that perspective now goes to the E, which is you have enthusiasm, and you have energy, and you have excitement, and you have euphoria, and you have engagement. I could keep going on the value of this E, but here's what I know. John Maxwell once said that, when you're winning, nothing hurts, and when you're losing, everything hurts. And I think the idea of winning, and that is vision backed by intensity, is designed to give you that euphoria, give you that unstoppable feeling, to give you that sense that you can achieve anything that you put your mind to. And once you start to see the fruits of your labor and the seeds of your greatness that you have been planting and nurturing and watering and paying attention to through intensity, there is no outcome that you could expect that would be more relevant and more deserving than that of enthusiasm and euphoria and excitement and all the things that go along with success. Here's what we know. Ralph Waldo Emerson said that nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm. And I think any positive emotion that starts with the letter E that you can place in this word view is critical for your success. I also think on the opposite side of that is when you arrive at a point where that enthusiasm is waning, or that excitement is missing, or you don't feel that you're just engaged, peel back a few steps. Go back into kind of the vision and really take a look at the last day or maybe week or month and examine your intensity. Because I can tell you that when those two things, vision and intensity, come together, there is no other outcome that you can experience than excitement and enthusiasm and energy and euphoria and all those positive things. So what you want to go for is you want to go for ultimately joy. And I ask people all the time, I ask them the question if they're feeling that part of their view on life isn't working. I ask them, what really brings you joy? What brings your heart alive? What brings your spirit alive? And oftentimes, if not most of the time, it is incumbent upon a couple of things happening that get them back into their lane, get them back into their kind of their mainspring, what they're really wired to do and what they do naturally. They have a proclivity to do it that is kind of DNA attached. They don't have to work hard at the skill because they have it. And when you do that and you recognize that and you grab that and you link it back up, then you achieve that kind of momentum again that gives you the euphoria, excitement, and all those things. So we look at vision, we look at intensity, we look at the outcoming emotion, that energy, euphoria, excitement. And the last part that I think is the absolute, if there's such a thing as a safety net, if there's such a thing as a daily dose of enhancing your life in business that can be unveiled in this simple idea of what is your view, it is that W. And that W is where your motivation comes from. That W is where your central purpose comes from. That W is where you go to when you're not feeling that you have the maybe the staying power, the stamina to keep after the vision. And that W is your why. And I know there's a lot of things floating around on YouTube and a lot of videos on, know your why, and they're all right. They're all purposeful. They're all intentional. But when you miss the purposeful part of vision and miss the purposeful part of intensity, you won't get the fulfillment of that why. So when you think about why, and you think about, what really brings you joy and what brings you alive, and why are you doing what you're doing, and, how important is it to you when you think about the legacy of life, when you think about, looking back in your 30s to your 20s, or your 40s to your 30s, or your 50s, and we can go all the way on, right? Looking back to the last year, the last 5 years or decade, there has to be a look back that provides a sense of purposefulness, a sense of intensity, a sense of realness, a sense of, I did that not accidentally, I did that by design, I did that because it was important to me, not because it was important to the world's opinion of me. It was something that was deeply held within my soul and my heart as a reason for my desire to make this view come to life. So, at the end of the day, view is a very powerful word. And when you think about these four things, always looking at your vision, always looking at the intensity of your labor, and with that, I must say, comes the efficiency of your labor, because an inefficient labor is not an intensified labor, it's just an intensity-rich labor. There's a difference between those two. And then look at what is that emotion, that E that you're experiencing, and then every day, take a look in the mirror and just say, man, was today purposeful? Was today, rewarding? Was it rich? Did I find something in today that made today a day worth living? And I'm telling you right now, if you just keep your focus on view, where you're going, from where you are, taking these four things into consideration, I think you're going to be very surprised and very happy that you have a view on life that is larger than anything you've thought of, that you have a view on business that is larger than anything you've dreamed of. And I think when you dream big and you think big and you operate big, big things happen. And you deserve big things. I deserve big things. We're out there every day slugging it out, and we deserve to get an ROI that acknowledges the value of our life and the value of our role in changing humanity in the form of mortgages and financing. All right? So that's your strategy session. Take care.